Hey there guys, my name is Dead Money and I'm from Aussie Maille, and this is our chain mail tutorial channel. Hey guys, a big hi, hello, welcome, how are you? Thanks for popping in today and spending some time with me. It's great to see you. So today I've got another weave tutorial for you. This one is another Byzantine variation, and the name of the weave is Ruby's Byz-Band. Alright guys, let's get into it. Okay guys, so I've got some sample pieces here made up for you of the Ruby's Byz-Band. So coming up here on the side of the screen, you will see the rings that I used to make up these particular pieces. They'll also be listed down in the description tab, which you can find down underneath this video. But to just run through them with you now, so our first one over here, the large rings that you can see here in the center, they're 14 gauge AWG 1.6mm diameter wire rings with a ring ID of 8mm. The other size for both the remaining silver and the colored rings, they are 16 gauge AWG 1.2mm diameter wire, 3/16 of an inch or 4.76mm. So that's both the anodized and the small silver rings. The one here in the middle, the large rings are 16 gauge AWG 1.2mm diameter wire with a ring ID of 5.75mm. And then the remaining rings, so the small silver rings and the small colored rings, are 18 gauge AWG 1mm diameter wire, a ring ID of 5/32 of an inch or 3.97mm. And then finally this version over here, the larger rings, they are 18 gauge AWG 1mm diameter wire, with a ring ID of 4.75mm. The smaller silver rings and the colored anodized rings are both 20 gauge AWG 0.8mm diameter wire with a ring ID of 1/8 of an inch or 3.18mm. Okay, so to start this chain, we're going to make up some of the Byzantine sections that you can see here that run down the chain. So to do that, we need to start with a simple chain that is 2 pairs of bright aluminium rings. You want then 3 of the anodized aluminium rings, and then another 2 pair of bright aluminium rings coming off them. So 2 pairs of BA, 1 set of 3 rings of AA, and then 2 sets of BA again. Okay, so you should have something that looks like that. And then we just want to convert that into Byzantine. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to grab it in the middle where those colored rings are, flip the rings on either end, so we've got 1 on each side of our piece, fold it all the way back, separate out those top rings there on the top, because what we're looking for is this gap in here that you can see. Okay, see that gap there? That's where we're going to put our next rings to lock the weave into place. In this case, they're going to be some of our bright aluminium rings. But obviously you can do this in whatever color combination that you like. This is just the one that I have chosen to use today. So 2 rings in there, and we've got half of our Byzantine finished. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So squeeze the colored, pinch the colored rings, flip the end rings 1 on each side, fold them all the way back against our work, separate out those top rings there so we can see that space in there, where we're going to put our locking rings. Okay, and we pop 2 of those in there as well. Okay, so that's one of our completed Byzantine sections. So go along and make up a handful of those. You're going to need at least 2 to start the weave. But if you do a handful of those, and I will meet you back here when you're done to show you the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I've got several of my Byzantine units made up, and now we want to start joining these together for the bracelet. So to do that, I'm first going to place the big center rings. So we just want to open that one up, and we want to put it through these wings here, these rings that we can see on the side. So we just go straight through that on our first one, and then through the same rings on a second unit, and then close that up. Okay, and your work should look like that. I'll just show you how to do one section at a time. It's totally up to you. You could go ahead and make the chain the full length by just adding, to each thing, or you can build each section along like I will be here. So there's no benefit one way or the other. It's just totally up to you. So to start with, I'm going to put an extra ring on each of our Byzantine units. So one ring on there and another one here. So this is just the same size that we used to make up the units in the first place. Okay. And then what I want to do next is, taking up another small ring, I'm going to pick up that ring I just added, pick up the ring that our large one is going through on one unit, bring our work around, and again pick up those same rings on the other side. Okay. So we've picked up a total of 4 rings there, and then I just want to come in and close that ring up, and our work should look like that. And I want to do the same down on the other end here. So again, I'm going to add my additional rings, 1 on each piece. And then taking up another small ring, I'm going to pick up one of the rings we just added, the ring there on the side that the large ring already goes through, and then swoop around and do the same on the other side of our piece. And then come in here and very carefully close those up. Okay, and your work should look like this. Now, the piece on Maille Artisans shows it with the large ring on top. I think the preference is yours, whichever way you prefer to do it, whether you want the large ring on top or the small ring on top, that is totally up to you. But you just keep connecting the rings in that fashion all the way down. So we place our large rings first. So through the other rings on the side there of our unit that we're building off, and through those same side rings on our new unit. And we'll close that up. And then we want to make sure we stay this on the same side. So you don't want to put little rings, well, I guess it's up to you, but the aim of the weave is to have all the little rings on one side, on the same side, and all the big rings on the same side. But if you want to shake that up and alternate it, totally up to you guys. It's your work. Okay, so The other way we could do this, because it can get a little tight doing it the way that I just showed you, we can place our small ring first. So before I put a ring in here and a ring in here and then joined it all together in one go, if you're finding that's too difficult to do, you could come in here and pick up just those 2 rings that are already in place and close your ring up. This way's a little simpler. So if you don't like working in tight spots, this might be the way to go. And then what you want to do is take up another small ring, pick up that ring that you just placed, and then go through the pair of rings at the top of one of your Byzantine units and close that up. And then do the same here on the other side of your weave. So just go through the ring that you added in the center and then through the top of your Byzantine unit. So that might be a little bit easier than the other way. Whatever works best for you guys, find which way you like to construct it and go with that. So just showing you that way again. I'm just going to add the small ring here that joins the 2 rings that have already gone through the big ring, okay? So we're going to join those and we'll do that up. And it's a little bit easier to do it up this way because we're not having to worry about that other pair of rings. So once you've got that in place, you can see I sort of tuck my thumb in there. I'm trying to stop that from slipping down and coming lost in the weave before we get to lock it into place. So I've opened up another ring. I'm going to go through that ring that we just placed there, and then before I close it, I'm going to feed it through the top of the Byzantine unit on one side, close that up, and our work should look like this. And then do the same on the other side. Go through the ring there in the middle, through the 2 rings on the end of the Byzantine unit, and close it up. Okay, and I'll just do one more and I'll show you do one end one way and one end the other way, just so you can see the differences again. So again, I'm going through the side rings there on the piece that we're working off, and then I'm going to grab my new Byzantine unit and feed it through the side rings there as well. Close that up, making sure that I'm working on the correct side, so that is the same side that has the small rings, not the side that has just the big ring showing. This is the way I showed you how to do it first. So put a ring through the 2 Byzantine rings, units I should say. So one through each of the pairs there that sit at the top. Okay, so once you've got those 2 rings in place, you pick up another small ring, and we want to go through 4 rings. So we want to go through the ring that we just added, the ring that we went through previously with the large ring, and then those same rings on the other side of our work. So through the 2 rings on one side, okay, you can see that. We swing our work around and we pick up those same 2 rings on the other side. So you can see that there's not a lot of wriggle room here, but it is, you know, it's not difficult. It's not overly difficult to then go in and close that ring up. But if you don't like working in tight spots, that's okay. What you can do instead is just take up an open ring and just place it through those 2 rings that the large ring has already gone through. Okay, so through those, and that is much easier. You've got more wiggle room there to close your ring up. Okay, so there's that ring that we just placed just there. And then to lock it all into place, we just want to take up another small ring, feed it through that ring that we just added, and then through one of the pairs of rings in the top of your Byzantine unit. Okay, just there, that's the ring we just added, and we want to do another one on the other side. So again, going through the ring in the middle that we just added, the single ring in the middle, and then going through the pair of rings that form the Byzantine. And there you go. So you just keep going like that, guys, till you get to the length that you require. And then just to finish it off, I just put a couple of the small rings on the end side, okay, the end and the beginning, and then to that I would add a small clasp attachment ring and your clasp on one end, and just leave the ring on the other. But that's the way that I would attach a lobster clasp to this piece. But there you go, guys. There is your Ruby's Byz-Band. Alright, my lovelies, that is it. That is the video tutorial for today. I hope you enjoyed it and it was of use to you. If the video was useful to you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. Share the video if you like. If you're not a subscriber, you might want to consider doing that for us while you're here. Check out some of the content that we've already got. There's a lot there for you to look at. And last but not least, guys, don't forget to give our shop link up here in the corner a little bit of love and affection. That's where we sell the bits and bobs and what's in a jigs you're going to need to make up this weave and many of the others we showcase here. Alright guys, well thanks once again for popping in and seeing me. I hope you keep safe and well, and that I get to see you again sometime in the very near future. Bye. Alright my lovelies, that is it.